All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to begin by giving all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. And Shalom to you, brothers that are laboring and pushing this word in truth and sincerity and with charity. I'm the brother Abraham from the camp here in GMS Chicago, coming back at you with another lesson. Lord willing to be edifying. And this is just a video that I had from the Jimmy Dore show. It's called The Most Shocking Things Said at the WEF Forums, Davos 2026. Okay, and this video is a little over 20 minutes. Good video to watch, but I'm gonna just summarize the video with AI. So here's what it says, right? In this video, Jimmy Dore and Kurt discuss Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney's admission at the WEF Forums, Davos 2026, which the WEF is the World Economic Forum, and Davos means son of David, right? So that alone should tell you the pride that these devils have. It says that the rules-based international order was always a lie. Now, when I seen this video, I didn't know what that was, so I just Googled it. The rules-based international order is the framework of global governance established after 1942, after World War II, right? It says aiming for a stable, cooperative world order, but it faces ongoing challenges to its universality and effectiveness. And why do you think that is? What's America doing right now? Okay, and why don't the rules apply to him? Okay, because he's the devil, that's why. All right, so it says key points include the rules-based order as a Western facade. The West, including NATO, Europe, the US, and Canada, claims moral superiority due to adherence to a rules-based order established after World War II. However, Dore contends this was always bullshit, citing invasions of Afghanistan, Iraq, and Libya and bombings in Syria as examples of the West not following any rules, right? So that alone, everything that they've done in the, Western Asia should tell you that they're above rule, they're above law, okay? Because what? They have the power of the sword, all right? And when you have the power of the sword, who's gonna do anything about it, right? Who shall make war with the beast? All right, so let's listen to this clip here.
When we invaded Afghanistan and occupied it for 20
Base international order.
the rules based, meaning what we say goes, because we don't follow any rules. When we invaded Afghanistan and occupied it for 20 years, we weren't following any rules-based order. When we invaded Iraq and killed 1 million people, we weren't following any rules-based order. When we illegally invaded Libya, bombed out of them, turned that state into a failed state with open slave market, we weren't following any rules-based order. When we went and dropped 26,000 bombs in Syria, we weren't following any rules-based order. They call it rules-based order. What they mean is the United States rules the world. That's what this is about. So we don't follow any rules or order. That's all bull. Right now, we're occupying a third of Syria. Which third? The oil parts. We're stealing Syria's oil right now. What rule does that fall under? So what he's saying here, so you have to know what you're looking for. What he's actually saying, this is about us staying in control of the world. Ukraine. He's just saying it. And if you don't know what the words mean, that's what they mean. We are going to be in control of the world, and that's why we're fighting. in Ukraine. So, guess who now agrees with me? The Prime Minister of Canada. I was watching my buddy Glenn Greenwald show, and he was playing this video, and my jaw was on the floor. Let's watch.
For decades, countries like Canada prospered under what we call the rules-based international order.
So, for decades, Canada prospered under the rules-based order.
We joined its institutions, we praised its principles, we benefited from its predictability. And because of that, we could pursue values-based foreign policies under its protection. We knew the story of the international rules-based order was partially false.
Whoa! We knew the story of the rules-based order was partially false. Really?
Because you helped make it up.
Here we go. Right? Because you helped make it up. Here we go.
That the strongest would exempt themselves when convenient.
That the strongest countries would exempt themselves from the rules-based order when it was convenient.
America.
I knew that too. Am I a fancy bank man?
Yeah. How did I
have
know
I got
that?
3 passports?
I've been saying that for years, ever since the beginning of forever. But certainly that video clip was from the beginning of the Ukraine war in 2022.
Hey,
And now
I'm
you
a
got-
Davos man.
You got a Davos man, a guy who went to Oxford, Harvard, a guy who's been an international banker his entire life. He was the head of the bank and now he's the head of Canada, and now he's saying that the rules-based order was false, but we went along with it because we prospered.
Did we?
So but now,
Trade exempt themselves when convenient. That trade rules were enforced asymmetrically.
that trade rules. So the first thing that was false about the rules-based order was that the biggest countries didn't follow them. The second one was that they didn't enforce trade rules equally. So again, it's might makes right. That's what the rules-based order is, which is what I was saying in 2022 after the invasion of the Ukraine. What do you want to say, Kurt?
They didn't call it the legal order.
Right.
They didn't say the law. They
That-
called it the rules-based order. So like a scumbag tech company, they can change the rules whenever they want without telling you.
So
A law's a little harder.
there used to be a saying,
He who has the gold makes the rules.
yes, he who has the gold makes the rules. And that's why they say rules-based order.
All right. Let me bring out one scripture that comes to mind with everything that they're saying and speaking about. All right, let's get Revelations 17 and 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Right? So in the beginning of the chapter, these 10 horns were described as 10 kings that will reign with the beast. All right? And who's riding the beast? The whore. All right? So these 10 horns being NATO, the EU, and all these nations that are in agreement with each other, well, guess what? They're all starting to hate the whore. Who's the whore? All right. The virgin daughter of Babylon. Okay. Why? Because just like an example here, the rules-based order, well, guess what? That doesn't apply to the US, right? Why? Because we rule the world. We have the power. We have the sword, right? We can do whatever we want, right? And that's why we kidnapped Maduro. We took a lot of their oil. That's why we did all the invasions in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Libya, and bombed Syria, and now Iran, and then now we're gonna take Greenland. Mexico, you better watch out. Colombia, you better watch out. You're next. Okay. Taiwan, we're gonna be there for you against China. What else am I forgetting? Funding the genocide in Gaza, sending money and weapons to Ukraine, funding that war. All right, so now all these nations are like, man, this guy. Okay, let's get Isaiah 14. All right, I like how it says in the NLT for part of it. All right, so I'm going to read part of it in the NLT. Isaiah 14:4. You will taunt the king of Babylon. You will say, the mighty man hath been destroyed. Yes, your insolence is ended. For the Lord hath crushed your wicked power and broken your evil rule. You struck the people with endless blows of rage and held the nations in your angry grip with unrelenting tyranny. Right? So in Isaiah 19, it talks about that cruel Lord. Well, Donald Trump is just living up to that for sure. All right, it says, but finally, the earth is at rest and quiet. Now it can sing again. Right? In Maccabees, the first chapter, it talks about how Philip and Alexander, when they took over, right, that before them, the earth was quiet. So when they came into rule, guess what? That's when they just started conquering the whole known world at that time. All right, it says, even the trees of the forest, the cypress trees and the cedars of Lebanon sing out this joyous song. Since you have been cut down, no one will come now to cut us down. Right? Symbolic for peoples and nations. All right, but also you gotta understand, this devil destroyed the whole world in the process. Nature, ecosystems, all right, forests, oceans, pollution. Okay, so let's see, let's go back to this here. Carney's shocking admission. Carney explicitly states that we knew the story of the international rules-based order was partially false, acknowledging that stronger nations would exempt themselves from rules when convenient and that trade rules were enforced asymmetrically. Right? So everything, they're exempt and none of the rules and laws apply to them. Right? And when they can't do something because of the law, well, guess what? They make a loophole somehow, some way to get whatever it is that they're doing. Okay, it says the true nature of the system. Metzger highlights that it was called a rules-based order rather than a legal order because the rules can be changed at will, reinforcing that the idea that he who has the gold makes the rules. Right? It says international law applied with varying rigor. Carney further admitted that international law was applied differently depending on the identity of the accused, meaning it wasn't applied universally and favored powerful nations like the United States. Right, let's see.
And we knew that international law applied with varying rigor depending on the identity of the accused.
And international law, did you hear what he said? He's saying international law only applied. Well, let me back it up.
And we knew that international law applied with varying rigor depending on the identity of the accused.
With varying rigor, meaning that the law was applied at our leisure, that it wasn't applied universally, and it depended on if the law was going to be applied towards the United States, it didn't. But if it applied towards something like Iraq or Libya or Syria or Russia, then it mattered. But if it, but okay, so we didn't. Okay,
For the victim. This fiction was useful. An American hegemony in particular helped provide public goods, open sea lanes, a stable financial system.
so he's saying this fiction that everything was equal and we actually everybody followed rules-based order, even though we didn't, even though it was might make right, even though it was unequal enforcement of the law. We all pretended that it wasn't those things. We pretended it was on the up and up and it was rules-based order because we all profited from this lie.
Don't tell Konstantin Kisin from Trigonometry.
Right?
Guys.
Right, and then that goes into all the nations have drunk of the wine of her fornication. Right? Everybody got rich to the abundance of her delicacies. Right? But now that they're woken up from their drunkenness, right, they realize what America has done to them. All right, and now they hate the whore. All right, that's what we're seeing right now. Okay, it says the bargain no longer works. Doerr emphasizes that Western powers only pretended to follow the rules-based order because they prospered from this lie. However, this bargain is now breaking down because economic and geopolitical tactics are being turned against Western allies. Okay?
Great powers have begun using economic integration as weapons. Tariffs as leverage, financial infrastructure as coercion, supply chains as vulnerabilities to be exploited.
Yeah, and so now it's affecting us. And so now we have to call out the lie. Because now it's being pointed at us.
It's fine if it's you getting
It's fine,
screwed.
it's fine if it's someone else's country, but now it's being pointed at. They're doing tariffs on us now.
He's remarkably forthcoming.
It's unbelievable how he's actually telling the truth. People don't know how unbelievably important this is, what he's saying, because you can never undo this.
Yeah, right.
You
Yep.
can never undo that he's saying this, that it has always been a lie. And they've all benefited under U.S. imperialism.
This isn't some jerk off president of the United States. This is a bank, an international banker.
Someone who's
Understand?
really important.
Yeah, he's bigger than the president of Canada. I know he's prime minister of Canada. That means nothing.
That's right.
He's an international three-passport banker, one of the highest authorities in the world.
He was the head of the Bank of England, wasn't he?
So you know he's a good man.
Yeah. So now he's saying, whoa, now the lie that we've all participated in, that was why we went into Ukraine, why all that other stuff was allowed to happen. Now it's coming back to Ed being pointed at us, and we have to make a righteous stand against it. That's what he's saying.
Hey, buddy, Chatham House, this one, you know?
Yeah.
Chatham House rules this.
You cannot live within the lie of mutual benefit through integration when integration becomes the source of your subordination.
So he's saying we can't go along with the lie anymore because now it's being used against us. It's used for our subordination. That's what he's saying.
I know, Mark Carney. I got that impression quite some time ago.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So all the nations was all going along the go along to get along game with the US. But now that it's affecting them, they're like, hey man, it's just some bullshit. Let's see.
And so here we go.
Havel called this living within a lie. The system's power comes not from its truth, but from everyone's willingness to perform as if it were true.
Just like he's admitted that they performed along the rules-based order. It didn't come from the strength of the rules-based order didn't come from its truth. It came from the lie that everybody participated in. He's saying that. This is an international banker, head of the Bank of England, Prime Minister of Canada, Oxford, Harvard. This is the guy.
All right, so let's get I believe it's Micah. just search it up. Nahum. This is Nahum 3:19. There is no healing of thy bruise, thy wound is grievous. All that hear the bruit of thee shall clap their hands over thee. For upon whom hath thy wickedness, upon whom hath not thy wickedness passed continually? Right? So the devil's wickedness passed through everybody, made rounds through everybody. And now they are officially sick and tired of it. Right? The beast is hating the whore. And guess what was coming next? All right, there, the part where it says they shall burn her with fire. All right, there's no healing for America. There's no cure for America. It's fatal. Fatality. This is the time we're in, man. Alright, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and end it there. Lord willing, this video was edifying as always. All honor, glory, and praises goes to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Until the next time, Shalom.